Okay, I want you to think about the last time you slowed down at an accident, scroll through a viral fail online, or find yourself glued to a shocking news story you knew that was disturbing. Maybe you felt a pang of guilt, a whisper of discomfort, but also a strange, undeniable fascination. But why do our minds so often gravitate towards the struggles, mistakes, and misfortunes of others? What is it about witnessing pain, embarrassment, or danger that keeps us watching, scrolling, and sometimes even craving more? Psychologists call this phenomenon morbid curiosity. And before you say anything, it isn't a weakness or a flaw of character, it's a window into architecture of the human mind. Our brains are wired to notice, analyze, and respond to the experience of others, a survival mechanism honed over millennia. Some of these experiences spark empathy, urging us to help, warn, or avoid similar danger, but others' triggers are something darker, intrigue, judgment, or even a subtle sense of satisfaction at witnessing misfortune from a safe distance. This curiosity is deeply intertwined with our social writing. It reflects the way humans have evolved to scan their environments not just for opportunities, but for threats. It shapes our intention, fuels gossip, and drives social learning, and even reinforces social norms. The allure of watching someone else stumble or struggle isn't random. It taps into powerful neutral circuits that reward attention and arousal. In this video, we're going to be unpacking the psychology behind this fascination with misfortune. We'll explore what it reveals about our brains, the subtle ways we navigate social hierarchies, and the often unsettling impulses that influence how we relate to one another. By understanding morbid curiosity, we can begin to see the line between healthy awareness, empathy, and the darker forces that draw us towards the struggle of others, and perhaps better understand ourselves in the process. The first layer of morbid curiosity is cognitive. Our brains are prediction machines, constantly scanning the environment for patterns, signals, and anomalies that help us understand and navigate the world. Observing the misfortune, mistakes, or struggles of others engage this system deeply. Even when the events we witness have no direct impact on us, our minds treat them as valuable data, opportunities to learn, anticipate, and adapt. You see, when we see someone fall, stumble, or face danger, neutral circuits, prefrontal cortex, and the anterior cingulate cortex spring into action. These regions help us evaluate risks, anticipate outcomes, and simulate what-if scenarios. In essence, our brains treat these moments as miniature case studies in cause and effect, providing insight into human behavior and potential consequences without us ever stepping into harm's way. It's a form of observational learning encoded into our biology. At the same time, the brain's reward system, centered on dopamine, subtly reinforces this attention. Unexpected events, dramatic outcomes, or novel failures trigger small surges of pleasure, tension, or excitement. This is the same chemical loop that underlies curiosity, gambling, and other attention-grabbing behaviors. The interplay between prediction and surprise, between understanding and uncertainty, keeps us alert, engaged, and sometimes compulsively focused on difficulties of others. This cognitive machinery is fascinating because it blends learning with emotion. We are drawn to watch, to absorb, to anticipate, not merely for entertainment, but because our own brains are wired to the exact meaning, to prepare us for potential challenges in our own lives. Morbid curiosity in this sense is not just an idle fascination, it's an adaptive, deeply human response, one that bridges the analytical and the emotional, the rational and the instinctive. Morbid curiosity may also have deep evolutionary roots, embedded in the survival strategies of our ancestors. Early humans lived in entertainments where danger was constant and misjudgments could be fatal. Observing the mistakes, injuries, or the misfortunes of others wasn't merely idle curiosity, it could be a matter of life and death. By paying attention to these moments, individuals learn to avoid hazards, navigate risky terrain, and understand the behaviors of others within complex social hierarchies. Witnessing failure provided practical knowledge, like learning which plants was poisonous, which predators were dangerous, which social behaviors could lead to conflict or be casted out. Fascination with the misfortunes of others was adaptive, a built-in system for survival and social cohesion. Fast forward to today, and that instinct hasn't disappeared, it has simply been repurposed. Our brains remained wired to learn through observation, but the landscape has shifted from forest and hunting grounds to screens and digital feeds. Viral videos, reality shows, and social media deliver a relentless stream of micro dramas, mistakes, and misfortunes directly into our attention span. Each clip, post, or news story taps into the same ancient survival circuits that once protected our ancestors, except now the stakes are psychological and not physical. The result is a urge that feels similar yet modern. The pull to watch, to scroll, to click, or to observe, even when we know it may leave us uneasy or guilty. Our evolutionary writing meets the digital age, creating a feedback loop that constantly engages, intrigues, and constantly disturbs us. What was once a survival mechanism has become a window into our fascination, our social instincts, and the subtle ways of our attention is shaped in an endless connected world. Schadenfreude, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but the subtle, sometimes uncomfortable pleasure we feel at another's misfortune is one of the most intriguing psychological phenomena tied to morbid curiosity. Functional MRI studies reveal that when people experience
Schadenfreude,
I don't know how to say that word again, neutral activity spikes in regions of the brain associated with reward and satisfaction, most notably in the ventral striatum. In other words, our brain actually light up when we witness somebody else's misfortune, signaling a form of intrinsic gratification. But this response is rarely about pure cruelty. Instead, it often emerges in specific social contexts, particularly those involving fairness, rivalry, or social compassion. When somebody arrogant, undeserving, or in a competing position suffers a setback, our brains may interpret it as a restoration of a balance or justice. We experience a fleeting sense of order, a reassurance that the social rules we value are being upheld. In this way, is closely intertwined with our perceptions of hierarchy, fairness, and personal self-esteem. It also serves as a social function. By processing and internalizing others' mistakes, misfortunes, or failures, we reinforce group norms and learn how to navigate complex social landscapes. Feeling a twinge of pleasure at somebody's downfall is not inherently malicious. It is a cognitive signal that helps us gauge relationships, relative statuses, and our own position in social hierarchies. In the digital age is amplified. Viral fails, social media slip-ups, and online conversations create instant opportunities to witness misfortune at a scale unimaginable in the human history. The same neutral mechanisms that once guided survival, fairness, and social learning now respond to curated clips, memes, and headlines. Our fascination, our fleeting pleasure, and even our judgment are all a part of a deeply human pattern, one that is ancient, adaptive, and increasingly engaged in a hyper-connected world. But here's the twist. Empathy and morbid curiosity often coexist, constantly vying for dominance within our minds. The very neutral networks that allows us to connect with others, which is the mirror neuron system, medial, prefrontal cortex, and interior insula, are also deeply involved in assessing the distance, relevance, and the context of observed suffering. These networks determine whether we feel compassion, alarm, or detached fascination. When the misfortune is personal, when someone close to us suffers, empathy tends to dominate. We feel their pain, share their distress, and are motivated to add comfort or intervene. But when the suffering is distant, abstract, or socially othered, curiosity can override compassion. The brain treats these events almost like data points in a simulation, sparking intrigue rather than distress, engagement rather than action. We watch, we observe, we analyze, sometimes with fascination, sometimes with subtle pleasure, without ever never needing to step in. This interplay reveals a fundamental truth about human cognition. Our attention, reward, and learning systems are optimized not purely for morality but for survival, social navigation, and information gathering. Morbid curiosity is not a moral failing. It is an emergent property of the way our brains allocate resources, balance empathy, and respond to the unknown. Understanding this tug of war is crucial in a digital age of news feeds, viral videos, and social media platforms, because they exploit these mechanisms, delivering constant streams of distant suffering that captivate attention without required direct action. By recognizing the tension between empathy and curiosity, we gain insight not only into why we watch, scroll, and click, but also into the underlying architecture of the human mind. It drives vulnerabilities and the subtle ways it prioritizes learning, reward, and survival. Society doesn't just reflect our brain's neutral tendencies, it magnifies them. You see, modern media is designed to capture attention. It exploits the very neutral circuits that makes us curious about misfortune. Sensationalized news, clickbait headlines, viral videos, and endlessly scrolling through social media are engineered to trigger surprise, outrage, or even subtle pleasure at others' setbacks. These platforms are not passive observers. They actively shape what we see, when we see it, and how long we stay engaged. Algorithms trick entertainment with precision, amplifying content that keeps users hooked. The post that generates the strongest reactions, shocked, judgment, and fascination, are shown more frequently, creating a feedback loop that trains attention and reinforces behavior. Doom scrolling. The act of endless consuming negative or tragic content online is a prime example. Hours can vanish as the brain chases microdoses of novelty, drama, and social evaluation, all under the illusion of conscious choice. Repeated exposure reshapes neutral pathways. The same circuits that once evaluated immediate social threats now respond to distant or curated misfortunes. Over time, what we perceived as interesting, urgent, or rewarding recalibrates. Tragedy becomes entertainment. Misfortune becomes a spectacle. And this shift often occurs subconsciously, quietly altering emotional responses and attention habits without conscious recognition. This isn't inherently malicious. These neutral and behavioral patterns are rooted in survival and learning mechanisms. What has changed is the environment. A hyper-connected formula that's optimized into the digital world that amplifies instincts designed for a safety and social learning into compulsive attention hijacking loops. Understanding the psychology behind this influence is critical. Awareness allows us to step back, recognize patterns, and reclaim control over our attention, ensuring that curiosity serves insight rather than becoming a captive of spectacle. Psychology offers tools to navigate morbid curiosity to understand it without being controlled by it. The first step is awareness, pausing to notice when fascination crosses into judgment, voyeurism, or emotional overload. Simply recognizing the pull of curiosity and the reasons it captivates us creates space for choice and reflection. Mindfulness exercises can help redirect attention. Techniques like focused breathing, journaling, or conscious observation allows the mind to shift from passive consumption to active reflection. Instead of scrolling endlessly through the misfortunes, we can ask ourselves, what is this triggering in me? Am I learning anything from this? Am I emphasizing this? Or am I merely chasing the fleeting satisfaction of a neutral reward loop? Reflection also extends to social context. Observing the misfortunes of others can illuminate cognitive bias, social judgments, and emotional triggers. Why do we feel pressure at somebody's setback? Why are we riveted by distant suffering, but numb to nearby hardship? Understanding these reasons reveal not only our individual psychology, but also the cultural system that shape collective attention. By practicing awareness, reflection, and intentional engagement, we can reclaim agency over our attention. Curiosity can transform from a passive compulsion into a tool or insight, empathy, and growth, allowing us to witness the world and learn from it and respond consciously, rather than being carried along by the currents of spectacle. Our fascinations with others' misfortunes is neither simple nor shameful. It's a complex interplay of cognition, reward, social learning, and evolution. Recognizing the mechanisms behind this behavior isn't about guilt. It's about understanding ourselves, curiosity, intrigue, and even small pleasures in observing. Misfortune reveals the architecture of our minds, the priorities of our brains, and the society in which we live. By observing curiously, reflecting deeply, and captivating empathy, we can navigate this psychological phenomenon with awareness. In doing so, we not only understand others, but we understand ourselves. Hey, what's going on, guys? Hope you guys having a good day, good night. I know this is not like gaming topic type of thing, but like I like to talk about pretty much anything that I think people should be like aware of. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. I have more to come, and I'll see you guys when I have something ready.